There was an Instagram post from Motivational Wealth that showed a clip of a woman, and they didn't list the woman's name. And she was giving this passionate lecture about the 777 principle for a happy partnership.
So let's tell everyone what the 777 principle is. The woman in the clip, she believes that it is sacrosanct that every 7 days a couple goes on a cheap mini date.
And then every 7 weeks, the couple go on a 24-hour date. It's a simple getaway, like an all day adventure. It's the couple getting some quality time where they're not just doing things like doctor's appointments and running errands together.
And then every 7 months, the couple go on a mini vacation away from their kids. And she goes on to say that novel experiences plus physical touch produce dopamine and oxytocin, which are the chemicals that boost attraction and trust. So, Trina, what is your initial reaction to this?
Well, when I saw the post, I was torn because at the end of it, this woman says, your feelings follow your focus, which I believe to be true. But I had a lot of resistance to this idea of 777. Um, and and then I realized that I'm being a hypocrite because I fundamentally believe couples need to carve out time for each other, but I wasn't willing to do it myself.
Hmm, interesting.
So this is one of the first times that I actually came across this idea of, I'm telling people to spend time and make quality time for each other, but am I willing to do the 777 thing? And I'm still on the fence about it.
I also recommend one of the biggest things that I recommend to nearly all of my couples is scheduling sex, and it sounds boring. There's so many good reasons for it. It's something that's really important. That is something that we do in our relationship. We don't call it scheduled sex though, but we have a game night, and we typically do it once a week. So that would probably be that, mini date, that cheap mini date of some sort. It's something that we enjoy. I Something that I have always struggled with, and I think it's just my ADHD, Gemini, blah, 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 brain that I have was I can't follow any particular like the second you tell me 777, I immediately want to rebel against it. Just I can't follow something scripted like that. I've never ever been able to do that. That said, I think the concept is right on point. Of it's important to have weekly intentional connection, whatever that looks like for that couple. I think it's important to have some sort of time away. And, I'll push back against her. Like maybe it is going shopping at Costco together. Sure. If that's what you can pull together, if you can get some time away from the kids and go shopping at Costco and it be a fun, flirty experience, then, I would say that that can count. Um, and, certainly if it's within, means and stuff, being able to get 24 hours away from the kids, or a little mini vacation is fantastic. But, within life and everything, obviously that can be challenging.
So let's read some initial reactions of the many Instagram comments. You go first, Amy.
All right, so here's one of the comments. Do you even have kids or a real job? It's hard enough to find a babysitter so you can work, or God forbid, cut the grass or just go to the grocery store. A 24-hour date every 7 weeks is impossible. And what the hell is a vacation? Whew, this person's having a rough day.
Well, no, that was kind of my first reaction too. When I
Yeah.
first, like, that was my initial reaction. It was that. But another person wrote, the 7 days and 7 months I can get behind, but a night away every 7 weeks is not possible in real life.
Another comment said, and even by the time you pay for a sitter, there goes date night money. We're lucky enough to have my parents willing to help out, but during work hours only. And yes, as a fantasy, you go on a small vacation without your kids, but imagine how that would actually pan out in reality.
Yeah. Another commenter said, marriage is about being intentional. 777 might not work for some, but plan something consistently and work at it, and normally it fixes itself.
Another commenter said, maybe not 777, but we are working on 14, 14, 14. Date every other week, one night at home while grandma takes the little one every few months. And we try to do one 3 to 4 night getaway for our anniversary most years.
Yeah, so I think there was a wide range. There was people who were supportive, and then there was people who were not supportive. I think it covered the span of how people, what people thought about this principle.
Yeah, and I will say, at least in our relationship, and we are also lucky because we have parents that are nearby, and so we do have the ability, and especially when the kids were younger, and even now we can send our kids to go spend the night with grandparents. But three is a challenge, and especially when they were little, getting my parents who were in their 70s at that point to watch three small children was hard. So to get that time together, I really did very purposefully go out, and I would say, okay, I'm going to get this child to go spend the night with this person. I'm going to have this child go to the grandparents. And it was certainly a feat to make it happen, but it was very important to me and important to us to be able to have one night away. And sometimes it would just be, we just want one night in our house without the kids. So we don't even need to go someplace else. If we can just get the kids out of the house, then we can have a little bit of time together.
I just remember when I was in that stage of little kids, I just wanted to be by myself. I didn't,
Yes.
if I had a night in a hotel, I wanted it to be a night by myself. I didn't
Yeah.
want to be spending it with my husband. And I think that, if I remember when the kids were little, this idea has been floating around for many years. And
Sure.
I just remember thinking, no, I don't want to go for an overnight with my husband. I want to go for an overnight with myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I remember there was one time, and I don't know if it was an anniversary, I don't remember exactly what it was, but we got all three kids off somewhere. And then I checked into the hotel, and I think James still had to work. I don't know. He had something. So I had like 5 hours to myself in the hotel, which was a delight. Like, I took a nap, I read a book, I went and hung out by the pool actually, I think I just probably took a nap and watched Netflix. Honestly, I think that's what I did. But it was great. And so then by the time he did arrive, I was relaxed. I'd had a chance to kind of shed mom and start to kind of get back into being Amy again. And so I think that like transitional time was really great, because I think it could be stressful if you're like, we've got 24 hours, we checked into the hotel at 7 o'clock, we're having dinner. Now it's 10 o'clock, we're home. Now we have to have sex. Like, is that good connection time?
Anyways, it's our job to not be cynical or hypocrites and help people understand how they can implement this if and when they have resistance or feeling overwhelmed to add something else to their already busy life.
So let's discuss why creating a date night is important. A date night is where a couple intentionally dedicates time spent together, usually alone, with the purpose of reconnecting and bonding. And the optimal word here is intentional.
Yeah, so relationships are a living thing that need to be cared for. And so without putting in effort, a relationship can't grow or flourish or become all it can be. And I feel like it's so easy to take our connections for granted. So if so our connections, they don't stay around. You need to be keeping attention to them in order for them to keep thriving.
And so spending time with your significant other is really important to your mental, your emotional, and your overall well being. And some benefits of date night include it's going to boost your emotional connection by giving you uninterrupted time to talk with and concentrate on your partner.
It's going to reduce your stress by allowing you to get out and have some fun. Remember fun? Remember what that was about?
Yes, fun. I know. We all need more fun in our lives. And it's also going to give you the ability to share and communicate your thoughts and feelings.
And it sets an example if you have kids by showing them the importance of valuing your relationship. So yeah, I think I hear this and I think, yeah, of course, this all makes perfect sense. And of course we need to stay connected, and of course we have to make sure that we don't take our relationships for granted. And of course, this is just common sense. And yet the reality is when you're so busy, it's easy. Like, this is the first thing, our relationships tend to be the first thing we put to the side on
Yeah,
hold because we've
yeah.
got everything else going on.
And I think the other thing too that's important to highlight is a date night doesn't it doesn't have to mean leaving the house. It doesn't have to mean going out to an expensive dinner. You can, especially when you are in the when you're in the busiest seasons, when you've got the little babies and all of that stuff, and it's difficult to leave, you're leaking milk and, all of this stuff, and you just don't feel like going out of the house. You can either just throw the idea out the window completely, or you can look for ways of doing it that's realistic for you right now. Because when we're talking about seasons, like, yes, this is going to evolve and change as well. So, I mentioned before, James and I do a date. We do game night. We've been doing game night forever. And when our babies were like little itty bitty things, like tiny little newborns and the bouncy thing, they were at game night with us, just sitting there, and we would play games, and then I would take a break and go nurse or change a diaper or whatever. But we still did that because it was fun and we enjoyed that time together. And, leaving the house at that point with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old and a baby was just not possible. But we're still going to start our game night at 6 instead of at 8, and we're still going to play our game. So, and that was just sort of the intentionality there. And let's find a way to make this work for us where we are right now.
Yeah. Well, you did well. You did well. You should give yourself a pat on the back for that, because I think, Amy, we can all agree that intentionally making time for your partner without distractions is the lifeblood of a healthy relationship. Therefore, we can agree that date nights are important in theory. But knowing all of this still isn't enough motivation for many couples to actually do it.
The reality is, day in and day out, we are stressed. We are tired. We do have small people touching us and yelling our names and demanding things of us, and all of that. And it is the easiest and natural excuse in the world to say, I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. We have a little world inside our hand that is completely and totally personalized to us. And it is so simple and easy for two people to be in the exact same room together on their different devices, one watching a TV show, one playing a game, and not connecting because I'm tired. And I would present to you that in those times when you are that stressed and that overwhelmed, that is the best time to lean into your relationship and the love that that gives you.
Find out this and so much more by subscribing to the Sensational Sex Podcast. And please grab our free gift to you. Links will be in the description. And if you like this podcast, then make sure to check out this next one coming up.